I know you guys like drama. Told her, get her shit, get the fuck out. The same thing happened with my daughter. In a way, first boyfriend she had who turned out to be into child porn. Sharing all this shit with his friends anyway, which started out, the guy wasn't a gentleman at all. I always knew there was something wrong with this guy. Of course, I tried to tell my kid. It's her first boyfriend, this puppy love. And they were going to go out that night on a date. I said, well, she's living under my house. And my rules, I'll get the fuck out. It's the way it was. Um, she got caught up with all the hormones at her age. And, I said, look, okay, be back by like 11 o'clock, the latest. Well, she wasn't back. And as a caring parent, I got concerned. Didn't even call me to say I'll be late. And when she got home, I gave her shit. I said, I should beat the living shit out of your boyfriend for not being a gentleman and keeping you out all night and keeping me worried. Yeah, I was concerned. She's my daughter. I love her. Didn't even introduce himself. She's met up with him when they went out. Didn't come back by 11, like I asked. So what she did was I said to her, I should beat the shit out of that motherfucker. He didn't show any respect for me at all. And as far as I'm concerned, that's not showing respect for you. So when she heard me say that I'd like to kick the shit out of him, she calls the police on me. I'm not shitting. She calls the police on me. And when the police came over, it was great. Why was it great? Because the guy basically said to me, okay, she's living under your roof. He goes, I understand what's going on here, sir. I have children too. He said, well, she's living under your roof. And you asked her to be back by a certain time. She didn't abide by that. He said, what do you want to do? Do you want her to leave? Or do you want to allow her to stay? I said, no. I said, I want her to leave. I told the same thing to her. Get your boyfriend, get your shit, and get the fuck out of here. That's exactly what happened. She copped an attitude with me, and I didn't appreciate it, the lack of respect she showed for me. You're out of here. Another day, Dad, can I take the bed? It was a nice queen-size bed. So what are you going to take the bed? It's not your bed. You sleep in it. I bought it. It's part of the furniture in this house, but I gave in. I said, sure, take the bed. I was going to sell the house anyway after that, and I did. I made a little money on it. I actually did. She didn't know that. Because I thought she was going to hit me up for money, so I never told her I actually sold the house. She thought it was included in a bankruptcy that I had to do at the time. Because the taxes and insurance went up on the house. It was very hard to upkeep the payments just living there, a 3-bedroom house, on my own, and paying extraordinarily high taxes, like 100 and what the fuck was it, 170 a month or something just for the taxes, not including insurance. Had to get rid of the house. But the timing was great because, well, I had plans to move to Hawaii, which I did. But I was there to see her firstborn, right there. I stayed long enough to see the baby, hold in my arms. I had made a couple of trips, back to Seattle after I moved to Hawaii to see her, the kids and all that. It's not like I was never around her children, my grandchildren. It wasn't like that at all. But for the most part, I wasn't because, well, it was a long way to go. Why did you have to move to Hawaii? Well, I could say the same thing. Why did you have to get together with this creep? And it turns out that the guy she married, and she couldn't figure this out or see it. He was online sharing pictures of little kids with friends And he got busted big time. And I knew something was wrong with this guy, but she wouldn't believe me. His parents, they're divorced, and she went through two other guys. uh, One guy worked at a head shop, a total loser. She was basically his mom. He'd park his hat in her place, get laid, whatever, go back out with his friends. He was actually dating a girl that worked in the head shop with him. Would even bring him over, if you can believe the gall on that. And she was so gullible until she figured it out. Yeah, it just took her a while. That's you wonder why I don't get him. You you wonder why there's friction. I mean, Jesus Christ. You wonder why. And then she'd ask me for advice all the time, wouldn't take it. I said, fuck it. Jesus Christ. I mean, I've done what I could as any parent would do. Anyway, one guy went to jail. So what happened? She got this other guy I'm telling you about. Then they broke up finally. She'd be calling me on the phone, but Dad, but I still love him. I said, what do you mean you love him? Why? What's there to love? I could think of another relationship on YouTube. I could say that too also. How this shit ties in, you know. What's to love? He cheated on you. I know he's got fault, but I still love him. It's called battered wives syndrome, really. Even though they weren't married and all that. You know, if he's mistreating her in such a way like that, had no respect, then she shouldn't be with him. I think she was afraid of being alone. That's why she has so many kids. I don't know. She's on her fifth kid now with a new guy. She found a new guy. And this kid is about 6 months old now. I don't know how old. Maybe more than that. The maternal instinct is like, you know, out of control. Totally out of control. No, 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 nothing. She's not. No, no, no. My daughter never, no, dated a black man. No. Although she would, if she met the right person, she would. Very liberal, you know. I don't know, we're like, people call me a liberal, but not at all. I'm not that liberated. Although she could do what she wants, if it's a nice guy, whatever. But to each his own. But no, she never got together. She wasn't like her mother. Her mother dated black guys. She liked, but she grew up on a certain southwest side of town, and she dated black guys. But no, my daughter wasn't like that though. I think she preferred Caucasian. But I don't know whether the new guy is another loser or not. I really don't know. Probably. She never made the best choices in her life. She'd go out in her car, but she's still making payments on her husband's car. How many times she got T-boned with the kids in the car. My God, I'm telling you, man. Because her mind is like 10 times worse than mine, where you get racing thoughts, this and that. But probably married or got together with her boss or something. Probably. I don't even know if she's still in Washington State. I really don't know. I assume she is. Yeah, I got a phone number or email. The email works, doesn't come back on me. So, yeah. She probably watches my shows. Because it's kind of like one of these situations where you don't want to be in somebody's life, but you want to be in a certain way. You want to know if they're still alive, what's going on with them. So she'll listen to my YouTube shows more likely than not. She could be one of the trolls for all I know, too, actually. I mean, I wouldn't put it past her. Some people say, well, no, you talk about your daughter that way. Well, I'm telling the truth. It's just the way it is, the way it was. I'm not going to sugarcoat something that don't need sugarcoating. There's no need to. Our minds are just on different planes, you know. Different levels, as Kramer would say, different levels. Well, I think she's still with the guy who's the new father of her new baby. I'll assume, unless she found somebody else. I don't know. I don't know. I know to answer your question, no, he's not. He's Caucasian. Well, like anywhere else, people have to make their own decisions, like who they want to follow on YouTube or in their personal life, whoever they want to date. That's all their own personal decisions. You don't have to agree with it, but it's their decision to do that. And that's the first time I ever even cheated, ever, when I was actually married. Like I said, there was a reason why I stayed. It was for the kid. Give her a name, you know, proper family situation. A lot of guys make these sacrifices to do that. Until it comes to the point I realize I'm kind of getting up there in age a little bit. I gotta be happy where I am in a relationship. So you got to make some decisions. As it turned out, I got my daughter anyway. She didn't get, but she was like a shark getting its first taste of meat. And once she was single, you know, she'd go out with her single sister and party hardy at the bars, meeting other men. It just kind of grew to a point where her visitation on weekends was getting less and less interested. I remember how cold she was. I was in the waterfront downtown Seattle, and she worked at a daycare, a known child care center over there, not far from the waterfront, just up the hill actually. And we went to a well-known restaurant down near the waterfront, and she comes in and she was cold as a fish. She didn't come up and hug her daughter, nothing. Imagine what my daughter felt like. I was really able to feel for my daughter at that moment. It was so cold. Like, she was like ridden with guilt. And because she couldn't have custody of our daughter, she had a problem with that. But she was happy with that in her own sense because, and this is a good lesson about women, that's why we're talking about it. Filipino women might be a little bit different in some ways, but American women, you definitely can't trust them. You got to do what you got to do in situations like that. And boy, did she get surprised when she got some divorce papers. She got awfully surprised. That's kind of the way I work things, boys. You just take action. That's what you do. Get it over with. Take action. They're not meant to be with you. Don't be with them. Move on. Get the papers. I don't believe in marriage. I don't. Why don't you get this? Why don't you do that while you're in the Philippines? Because I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm fucking over 70 years old. Fuck it. I don't need a piece of paper to prove you love somebody. And I made a promise to myself that I would never get married again. Once was enough for me. That scarred the hell out of me. Yeah. But it was a blessing in disguise. Excuse the word blessing. It was a blessing in disguise, is what it was. It saved me a lot of time and discomfort and anguish, and worked out for the best. There you go. So don't think you know everything about everything, because you don't, unless I tell you. They try to put the black hat on me when it's actually the opposite. The opposite. If I was in a real loving relationship, I wouldn't have done anything like that with her as far as going out. But I knew better what was going on. So it was like, touche. But for the sake of the kid, I wanted to keep things copacetic for a while. And there you go. So, I know what's going down in Funky Town, my friends. I make good assessments of everything that goes on in my life. And I dwell on it, and I think very deeply. And I think what's the best measure to do in a social situation or otherwise. That's up to me. But why procrastinate something? You just get it over with. Procrastination is not the destination. You just get it over with. I believe I should be in, and I can be choosy as I want, especially in this country. They don't care what age you're at. Don't matter. There's plenty of Filipinos out here. If I wasn't happy where I'm at, I wouldn't be in it, and vice versa. That's how it works. Nobody's forced to be with somebody else. There's no chains. There's no prison bars. Hammond just says, very interesting stuff, Frank. That's wild about your wife. Yeah. Oh, she was a real tart, I'll tell you that. We had an Omen, too. We had an Omen. We went to a $40 chapel, slipped $40 down, almost like a Vegas thing, Of course, we had the child. I mean, I got married after the child was born, and she was being held in her arms at the time that this preacher was marrying us, right? And there's the Omen. My daughter, she kept on crying. That was the Omen. Like, don't do it, Dad. Don't do it. Don't do it. Intuition from a infant. And she was crying the whole time. This ain't right. This ain't right. It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. Even her as an infant realized that this is not a good idea. I appreciate getting the namesake, Dad, but this ain't worth it. Don't do it for me. Yeah. That's the way it all went down in Funky Town, man. I'm a very honorable person. If they're honorable to me, absolutely, there's no question about it. But, when I know there's some hanky-panky shit going on, I don't stand for it. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of both our times, really. Why play, the great husband and daddy if you're not happy with the situation? But never abandoned my daughter. In fact, I raised her on my own since she was 5 years old. That's when I happened. 5 years old. 5 years old. All the way till she was about 19, whatever it was. I don't even remember the age. Then I told her to get the fuck out. I only tolerate so much. When somebody shows me disrespect, it's a real big issue with me. It may not be with some people. I'm old school with that stuff. I can't help it. I'm very old school with that. Don't show me any respect. I'm not giving it back to you. I will try as best as I can and try to understand the situation. But if it comes to crazy, I'm not going to tolerate it. She wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for me. I gave her life. I gave her a home, raised her very well. And if she can't show respect for me by having a guy introduce himself to me, and then what she did afterwards, and the cop said, what do you want to do? In other words, I'm in control of this. You could legally tell her to leave. And maybe it was the passion of the moment or something, I don't know. But I said, no, she's got to go. That's how much respect means to me. It's even my own blood. I don't care who it is. Mother, father, sister, brother. You don't respect me. Don't expect me to show you respect. And that goes for friends or anybody else. I don't care. You don't show me respect, I'm not going to give it back. I demand respect, and when I don't get it, you're just not going to get it back from me. Those are my rules. Even if it is my own daughter, my own blood. You don't respect me, I'm not showing it back. Get the fuck out. You want this guy that much? Go. I'll even give you the bed like you asked. I'll even give you the bed. Take your shit. Get Michael to get the stuff. Get your clothing. Pick it up, and they wind up in the basement of his grandmother's house, living really well. It's all good. We stayed in touch. Everything was fine after a while. We kept in touch, and, I'd come to visit her when I moved to Hawaii at some point. Came back to visit her a few times, whatever. All's good. Went out for dinner, all this, and everything's fine. But it's like the two big heads meeting up, clashing against each other. She was a Washingtonian, I wasn't. Although I lived there long enough to be called a Washingtonian, to be honest with you, but she was actually born there, in the Seattle region. Truly a Seattleite. And if you know what Seattleites are like, you'd understand what I'm talking about. Their political views on just about everything, or how liberal they could be, and so forth. And we just clashed with that. The love was there. And I still think she loves me on different levels, but I think, it was a clash. She had all that influence of Washington, Seattle area. I couldn't compete with that. I was a New Yorker, not a Seattleite. I wasn't born there. I just lived there. I didn't really agree with all the values of Washingtonians, really. Sure loved the women there, though. That's for sure. But if I loved a lot of women there. But that's about the best of it. Beautiful place, though. Beautiful place. But understand something. Respect, I think, is really important. And you should, that aspect in your life, you should demand respect from people. When you don't get it, you just don't give it back. But that's, my philosophy and all that. It doesn't have to be yours, but that's just the way I am. Supposedly Fazio has it doing. I heard that he did. I heard he did. What did your daughter... Well, she had moved to a place called Kent, Washington at the time. She's not there anymore, I believe. The mother had actually, the reason she moved to Kent, because her mother was living not terribly far away in that area of Washington State. And of course, she had her own kids, and one special needs kid who was autistic. Her mother, which is my ex. And then, her mother made promises. They kind of got together again. They weren't talking, and then the mother said, "Oh yeah, I'll help you with help you with your kids, feed each other's lives." But then that faded out because, well, my ex was who she was. You couldn't trust her. She couldn't stick to a plan, and she did it to her own daughter. They faded out. Now, I don't know where they are now, whether they reunited or not. I have no clue. I have no idea. And I really don't care that much. That's history in the making, long-term history. I've been divorced now for 35 years. I don't know. My daughter was 5 and she's 4. 35. I don't know, maybe 35 years ago. Has it been that long? Jesus Christ. It's been a long time. Don't even think about it. I think one marriage was enough. And I was a single man the whole time.